Me and my brother Ron were in my room watching football, screaming at the screen when our team would do something idiotic. We were about 40 minutes into the game. Ron slammed his fist into the remote, turning the television off by accident. I turned the TV back on, and as the screen loaded back up, we heard footsteps coming from downstairs. Ron and I quickly turned our heads to the bedroom door. I turned down the volume to hear the noises clearer. "I think someone's inside," Ron said. I could hear the shudder in his voice. He was anxious. "No, it's probably just the dog," I responded. Ron, however, was a lot more cautious. He walked over to the bedroom door and locked it. The click it made alerted the intruder. We heard even more footsteps. Ron then whispered, "That's not the dog." Ron, acting nervous, put me on edge, so I agreed with him and turned off the bedroom lights. Ron then looked around the room, trying to find some sort of object we could use as a weapon. I sat next to the door, with my ear placed on our wall. They were so thin that if there was someone inside the house, I would be able to hear them. Nothing happened at first. It was just dead silence. "Take a look," Ron said. He had his phone turned on in case we needed to call the police. I lay on my chest and looked through the gap under the bedroom door. I saw blackness, but I could barely make out a pair of boots standing a little ways down the upstairs hall. I felt both hands shaking as I pushed myself back up to my feet. I tiptoed over to Ron, who was waiting anxiously for the answer. "Someone's here," I whispered as low as I could. Ron's face went pale as he stared into nothingness. At one point, I thought he was going to black out on me. I pulled Ron over to our window. I quietly opened the window and looked down at the grass, 2 stories below my current position. Ron was still in a different world, as if he was blocking himself out from reality, leaving the responsibility to me. I tried not to pay much attention to him and instead focused on escaping. I took Ron's phone out of his hand as he crouched on the carpet. He had installed one of those apps where specific fingerprints can enter the phone. I took his hand, which was shockingly freezing, and held his index finger on the phone screen. I jumped out of my skin when the phone let out a loud beep, and all of a sudden, I could hear footsteps running straight to the bedroom door. I quickly typed in 911 and put one leg out of the window. I heard loud banging on the bedroom door and shouting,
"I'm going to kill you."
I landed on the porch roof and shouted at Ron to snap back into action. Ron stood up quickly and stumbled outside of the window. He landed on the roof beside me as I forced the window shut again. "We need to jump," I said. I could hear faint thumping behind the walls. The intruder was struggling to get inside our room. I jumped off the porch roof and sprained my ankle. Ron was wobbling on the edge of the roof. "Quick," I said. I avoided shouting, as whoever the intruder was would have known that we were outside. Ron touched his chest, head, right shoulder, and left shoulder, making a cross before he jumped. We were a good 6 blocks away before I realized that I had left my dog behind. I burst into tears from fear of what just happened and worrying if my dog was hurt. I talked to the police operator as both me and Ron slowly walked back to the house. We heard sirens and I felt the weight lift off our shoulders. As we approached our house, we noticed that the police were now outside. Me and Ron hid beside our porch. Both of us were waiting to come face to face with the intruder. 4 cops came out, but there was no man, and one of them was holding my dog Lewis. I hugged him and apologized to him for leaving him behind. The cops explained that there was no one inside, and there was nothing stolen either. In fact, they explained that there was nothing to even prove that someone had invaded our property. They never found him. Ron installed some CCTV cameras in both of our houses, but I can assure you, I haven't had a good night's sleep.